Those are the oil cooler O-rings. I haven't got around to the coolant fix for the RS4, but the one reason that I do think it is going to be hose related as opposed to a crack, say, on the plastic side for the water pump is because, say right now when I've turned it on, the car has to really get up to temperature and I need to get the revs up for it to leak. If it was plastic, a plastic crack, there would be a higher chance that it would be leaking at cold temperatures too. So see, right now you can see the car's been idling for about 10 to 15 minutes, but in the area under the thermostat here, which is the area where those two coolant leak videos are focused on, we still don't have a single drop. And I've revved the car a couple times and it's starting to get up to temp. Once the car hit about 70 degrees in temperature, we got the first little bit of coolant coming down onto the water pump housing. So it'll be interesting to see if this is related to a cracked water pump housing or if it's a failed hose. And hopefully this can help you diagnose this beforehand so that when you tear the car down, you won't be waiting for parts if this is your only car. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to put the car in service position or take out the rad and some of the assemblies in the front to access all the bolts nicely. But once I make a choice, we will continue this series. This car here will have been sitting for at least about a month once I get all my parts in and do the repair. Take a look at the brake rotors. And what some winter weather, snow and rain and humidity can quickly do to brake rotors, and the fact that the ones I changed in the back are aftermarket, probably poor quality metal mix, and the front ones are better quality. I'm gonna have to take the wheels off and use brake cleaner and a rag to clean them up. Hopefully this clears them enough and I don't have to change the rotors again. But these are the joys of having a car outside that brakes. Old European car stuff. If my downpipe comes in the mail and I can install it with clamps and without any issues, we'll do that video on this car as well. While it's not a certainty that the rust will contaminate the brake pads and push the rust into the rotor's porosity possibly more, it's not something I want to take a risk with, especially because I've changed the front pads and the entire rear pads and rotors. But this will be a test and we'll see how it goes with cleaning the surfaces by removing the wheels. The weather's decent today, so in terms of downpipe prep, I'm going to hit the upstream O2 sensor with some penetrating fluid, and dead center in your screen you can see one of the 3 downpipe bolts that bolt onto the back of the turbo. So we'll see how that goes. They are pretty rusty and crusty. So maybe it'll go to a shop, maybe I'll be able to get it out on the driveway and possibly do the other end underneath the car too. The main points that would turn this into a shop job are if the rusty pipe underneath, I can't clamp to it, or if the exhaust hangers need to be adjusted. I might make this choice before I try or during the process. So each wheel is going to come off and I'm going to spray brake cleaner and use a microfiber rag to get as much of the rust off. This might be overkill and unnecessary. Here's what it looks like before the spray. That anti-rattle clip isn't there for a reason. We'll get into that in the rear brake video that I'll make soon. This leaky shock has been here since the day I bought the car. A lot of people have problems with that mount breaking in there. Fortunately, it has not snapped off there, those two 10mm bolts.
so it'll just be a new shock, but I really don't care to do that for now. Let's see what happens with these brake rotors. There's the rag. It took off just a little bit. It barely changed the condition of the rotors. One way would be to sand it with maybe say 1000 grit, 1500. I'm just going to drive it and see what happens, and we'll take a look and see what's going on again. The fronts, as you saw, weren't as bad. They seem to be higher quality rotors. I did put Bosch pads in the front. The rotors were from whatever the previous owner put. These back ones are from a brand called Genius, and clearly they're not very good. Or maybe this would happen to all aftermarket rotors, but these were fully coated rotors, and I've only had them on the car for about 2 months. So letting the car sit for a month outside, prepare to do brakes, or let's see if the pads and the friction wear it off enough to the point that these still have a smooth enough surface that they can be revived, but on the inside it's just as rusty as the outside. So I'm not going to put time into sanding this. We're just going to use them. If we need to do a pad and rotor job again, it'll be much easier this time around, but I'll be sure to get the difficulty video of the first round of rear brakes that I did on this car, with all the small things that I had to change and what fit and what was, like you can see the two colors there. One part is OEM, one part is aftermarket, because there were fitment issues with some of the aftermarket stuff. So we'll go more in depth into rear brakes as well in the future.